'Twas a long time ago, longer now than it seems, in a place that perhaps you've seen in your dreams. For the story that you are about to be told took place in the holiday worlds of old. Now you've probably wondered where holidays come from. If you haven't, I'd say it's time you cheat codes. It's December 21st, 2015. Welcome to episode 77 of the Cheat Codes Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we're glad you're with us. The next hour is us drinking a few beers, going over our favorite bits from the past week in video game, tech, and pop culture news. My name is Joe Erskine. I am your host, and we're coming to you from inside a stinky burlap bag that has some bugs and dirt in it, but at least it's got a killer singing voice. Today, I am here with Cheat Codes producer and editor, Mr. Joe Oogie Boogie Arroyo.
Snake Eyes! I don't know. That's the
Cheat Codes contributor, Mr. Nikk Sally Golesh.
That's the worst character.
And we're welcoming back producer at Bungie, Mr. Samir Harlequin Demon Patel.
I didn't have anything prepared to say.
That's totally fine. Today on the show, we're going to scare some holiday cheer into the following main topics. VR is still not available to consumers, and something interesting is happening regardless. Major companies are working with each other instead of rushing to be first to the market. Why? I've got my money on some kind of collective world domination attempt. Microsoft is in the holiday mood, apparently. They've announced that they're going to share their Azure cloud tech with, well, everybody. Yay. How generous. God bless us, everyone. A holding company with the rights to the Caleco name has announced that they are releasing a new console for cartridges. It's called the Chameleon. Let's be real. Star Wars can't be the only thing cashing in our nostalgia these days. So good, though. For today's lightning round, we're going to give out some shrunken heads to the little kids about the following bits. What do you do when you're addicted to Fallout 4? Well, you play it a lot. So much so that you lose your wife and your job, and at which point your only recourse is to sue Bethesda for a ground-shattering $7,000. Obviously.
$7,000.
Yes. Do we or do we not want Mel Brooks to make the Spaceballs sequel? He mentioned on Adam Carolla's Take a Knee podcast that he thought the timing was certainly right. May the Schwartz be with him. In regards to beer, which is part of our repertoire here, for some, eggnog sits upon the libation throne during the holidays. For others, perhaps a spot of tea with a little whack of whiskey in it. Peppermint schnapps, sorry. Maybe. For us, you could say it's Christmas year-round because we drink beer for every podcast, holiday or not. Today's no exception. We're enjoying some Bifrost Winter Ale from the folks at Elysian. It's seasonal, holiday apropos, and damn tasty. Cheers, fellas.
Fired.
And to you listeners, happy holidays. Why am I fired? What the fuck is wrong? Apropos?
Who the fuck
says apropos?
You just sound old.
Lawyers say apropos. Yeah, okay, fine. You're right. I'm fired.
Do lawyers
Thank God we're lawyers.
Yeah, do they put bay in their contracts now too?
Yeah.
Shit was on fleek.
Apropos is not like shorthand. It's
apropos for this moment.
God damn it.
We're just fucking with you, dude. When you fall victim to it, it makes it better.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on.
Hey, Samir.
Samir,
How's it going?
how are you, buddy?
I'm good.
Can you explain to me why Destiny doesn't want to put out any DLC this year? Can you explain it to me that?
No.
Okay, good answer.
I did a good job.
Tell me how things are going over at Bungie, man. What's
They're
going
going great. I mean, they're amazing. I have 2 weeks of vacation right now, so I won't know what's going on for the next 2 weeks.
What are you gonna do with your 2 weeks off?
Nothing.
Yeah, he won't know what's going on with anything.
Are you gonna check your email?
Yes.
Then
Don't do that.
Well, there's no email coming in, and it's
So why would you check it then?
It's a terrible reaction thing. Like you turn on the phone and then
I hear you.
It's a producer thing. You wake up and you check your email. You go take a poop.
Yeah, I definitely fall victim to that.
Right.
I have notifications for everything I'm interested in, and the first thing I do when I turn on my phone is check all of the things that I get notifications for, just to make sure I didn't miss notifications for stuff.
Exactly.
But you put notifications on the shit that you feel like you should get, right? Even it's like, oh, I want to know when Amazon has a sale. I want to know when my boss is talking to me. I want to know, all
So
that.
I did the responsible thing and I turned off notifications for the 2 weeks, at least on work email.
Responsible for your
my sanity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like self-responsibility. It's good. It's like doing your laundry and
Yeah, being an adult.
making your own mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Right.
Putting it in the microwave myself.
So you guys are, what, a couple months into year 2 of Destiny? That's right?
Yeah, it started off in September.
Okay. So, obviously Taken King was a fairly large success for you guys. I think it was not necessarily a return to form, but I feel like everybody was very pleased with Taken King.
Yep.
After Den of Wolves and
House of Wolves.
House of Wolves, sorry. And so what, Den of Crota then? Crota's End?
No. Dark Below.
Fuck.
This is great.
I'm so glad
good
you guys play my game so much.
Well, I guarantee you that I play it more than these two.
That's probably true.
I don't even play video games.
That's a problem.
He just plays EVE Online.
I knew that Wolves and Crota were involved, but I know that Taken King was arguably the big one for you guys this year.
Yeah, we integrated a lot of feedback that we got after the release in the first 2 DLCs.
Right.
So it was a big step forward for us.
I hope you guys have a music video creation tool just built into it at some point soon. Because people are going out of their way to make these like
Backstreet emotes and shit. Yeah,
videos. The Backstreet Boys was definitely the most.
They released a new one.
Oh, I like the baseball game one. Guys were actually, they played the baseball game. Like one guy runs the bases while the other guy swings and pitches to him. That shit was dope.
You'll actually appreciate this, Joe. It's a parody of Downtown.
Oh
yeah. They just released it today.
Like the Macklemore Downtown?
Yeah, the Macklemore Downtown.
So how do they do the moped stuff?
You got to see it. It's really well
Sparrows,
done.
obviously.
With a guy on his shoulders. Is that a feature in Destiny?
You got to see it. It's great.
God.
I'll show you the video afterwards.
Okay.
It's fucking amazing. I love our community.
Can we talk about the Sparrow Racing for a quick second?
You can.
Okay.
It's your show.
Why Sparrow Racing and not like full on just space combat?
Well, mostly because I don't know why. I don't make those decisions.
Why not, Samir?
Why is it not?
Why not?
Why isn't Pod Racers?
What?
No, I'm just gonna ask a dumb fucking question like Joe did.
Okay. He's right. He's right.
Why not a wolf?
What?
That rides
Why not a wolf?
Why not a House of Wolves?
Yeah. Wait, why isn't it Den of Wolves?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with a den? Why does it have to be a house?
Do you actually want me to go into the lore reasons why
Nope.
it's House of Wolves and not
You
Den of
could
Wolves?
if you wanted. Sure.
No, that's terrible.
No, let a fanboy geek out right now. There's a fanboy listening right now. It's gonna
It's gonna be me re-listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
No. It's called House of Wolves because the main faction that you're fighting against are the Fallen.
Correct.
And the Fallen are broken up into different houses.
Yes.
So one of those houses is the House of Wolves, which Skolas was the leader of.
That motherfucker.
Yeah.
Skolas.
Fuck that guy.
Okay, so can you name any of the other houses of the Fallen?
There's House of Wolves.
we got that one.
And I forgot the other ones all of a sudden right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to put you
Thanks,
on the spot.
guys.
No, it's fine. Okay, so
could've just
producer
made
at
it
Bungie,
up.
Samir joining us today. Yeah.
I feel terrible for not remembering now. I'm going to remember at the end of the show.
I think.
I got it wrong, and they made me look bad, so now I have to pass the buck here.
Thanks.
I'm waiting
I'm just
now.
never coming back.
I feel like I should watch every word I say for the rest of the podcast. You guys are just going to oust me.
Yeah,
as soon
you're
as it
marked.
happens.
You're marked.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. All right, to the topics, gentlemen. Samir, welcome back, man.
Yeah, thank you.
First and foremost, but it's the Christmas episode, everybody. So how do we start this? We talk about competitors collaborating to overcome the challenges that are developing VR in general, right? So we have the HTC Vive in partnership with Valve. We have the Oculus Rift, which is kind of in partnership with Microsoft. Not really, right? And then we have Project Morpheus, which will be just Sony PlayStation VR when it releases, and a bunch of other like the Samsung
Google Cardboard.
Right, but isn't it like all and like the Samsung thing? Isn't that all in kind of conjunction with Oculus
I think
anyway?
so, yeah.
Right. So fair enough, but there's an interesting trend that's happening, and we're seeing that these companies are actually kind of like working together, right? And this comes from an article from Game Informer by Brian Shea, talking and highlighting on the point that these guys are actually kind of more about solving problems together and sharing information and helping each other out rather than tearing each other down and creating a argumentative or hostile marketplace, and more about establishing it first and then maybe getting back to the business of tearing each other down. Their biggest fear that many stakeholders in the VR share is that the crucial first encounter will be ruined by a lackluster experience that was rushed to market before it was ready, which is a totally valid fear. But thus tainting the mainstream opinion of the technology as a whole, which is kind of like what you can boil down to the whole Nintendo, Virtual Boy experience, right?
Yeah.
To a certain extent, or watching Lawnmower Man as a Stephen King fan, which kind of like ruined the VR thing.
It's not the same thing as
everybody.
consoles, right? Where
Not at all,
each generation they're trying to rush to market as fast as possible because people want to pick up like the first one of the new thing because it's just you making a better version of an existing technology. But when we're talking about something new that people haven't really experienced before, it's kind of if somebody fucks it up and everybody's like VR is dumb because of so and so who goes to market first, then nobody's going to buy any other VR.
That's right.
At least not for a while. It'll take a long time to repair that.
No, I completely agree. I think this is a totally valid point. But we're also seeing something very interesting where we're normally kind of inundated with news like, oh, PlayStation and Xbox like going toe to toe all the time about who's the better console and who's selling more, and Nintendo just trying to find their way along since the late 90s to get their shit back together and everything else. And really what it's about is that, yes, it's a competitive marketplace, but what we're seeing here and what this article is highlighting is more about the collaboration where VR presents a whole bunch of different problems when it comes to dev aspect and trying to figure out how things work in a three-dimensional space and using a central camera like for a first-person experience and beyond, like and all the innovative ways that people are using it too. And I think what's really interesting is that people are more about trying to solve these problems with a community and be more judicial about the way that they share their secrets instead of just being like, well, fuck you, we figured it out and you can, sit on and spin, that kind of thing, which is great, right? I mean, isn't that kind of like more about where development from a game perspective is supposed to be, or not?
Where we'd want it to be, I think. From
like a very like theoretical level.
Well,
at least,
working
right?
together, sharing technologies or something to make the best games you can make, but it obviously hasn't gone that way because
it does, but it's few and far between. It's more often not. But there are a lot of companies that actually work together that share a lot of technology. They're like sister companies. They technically should be competitors, but they'll fly back and forth to each other and share what they've learned, to get information. And I mean, everybody's games are better if you do that. So I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yep.
It's like Tesla, just being like, hey, here's our patent.
Yeah, we always share knowledge with other developers. I mean, hell, like GDC, that's purely what GDC is.
It's a wellspring for shit like that. Yeah.
I guess I can understand their viewpoint when they want to like make sure this comes out correctly, like make sure it comes out well. One of their explanations was when this comes out, we don't want it to feel gimmicky. We don't want people to think like it's gimmicky. They want people to put on the headset and be blown away by VR. And they even went to say that like people who do put on the headset and they try it out and they actually have a good time or something, their viewpoint completely changes about VR. They're like, oh, it wasn't just like this like silly thing that people are like, it's an actual. It's actually viable, like it actually could become a real thing. I can't say I share that viewpoint necessarily yet because I have tried it and I'm not blown away by it. It does feel gimmicky in my opinion, but it's cool that they're definitely trying to all work together to try to make it come out and be successful because you can't just rush it to the market. And
I agree. Real quick before you go, do you feel like it's gimmicky based on the hardware or the software that's been developed for the hardware so far?
I think it's gimmicky because it's not, what's the word? It's not practical still. Like, it's never, I don't see it being practical still. Like, am I going to put on a headset?
Or need an entire room in my house?
For the Valve one, I need an entire room.
For the Vive,
I need to like not park my car in my garage and like set up 2 cameras or something on the opposite ends of the room and walk around. That's not practical for anybody. Like,
it's not yet. It's definitely not.
And
there's the other
specifically
challenge.
to the Vive though, but like what about Oculus where it's still you're sitting
well
on
because
a chair
then
with
okay, so in order to get value out of it you need to probably extend the reach more, and that's kind of what Valve noticed. And so the room idea actually is much more of an immersive experience, but then less practical. And so if you get more practical with it, you get more gimmicky. Currently, at least in my experiences with it, if you're just standing there or sitting there doing VR, then you're restricted to cockpit games or games where there's like a table in front of you but it has stuff on it that's not actually there in real life,
which is fun. Like I played Elite Dangerous with it for quite a while and it's great. Like I actually stopped playing Elite Dangerous because I'd stopped using the VR set for a little while and I was like, I don't want to deal with it. I actually blew out like a USB port on my motherboard, so I wasn't able to use the VR for a little bit, so I actually stopped playing the game because of that. So that speaks about it, I guess. Like I had fun with it, using it, but I still had like all these cords wrapped around me, like on my head. I had my headset on.
It's like 7 cords.
It's not
cumbersome, if you will. Yeah,
the newer version is down to 1 cord. I think.
They totally changed it.
And
experience.
You have 2 cameras now instead of 1 for the Oculus, at least I think. And
But this is indicative of what they're experiencing, right? When they release these developer kits that we grab, like the DK2 or something, which we had, and that's what Nikk is referencing specifically with all the cables and stuff. If they had put that shit to the market, when realistically you could argue that they were ready to go to market at any point, depending on where they think VR makes sense. Like, the technology was ready. Like, I had a full working VR headset in my room that I could play games on. Why does the consumer not have it? Well, because there were 7 fucking cords and people couldn't, like, it was cumbersome and it felt uncomfortable.
It was a process
heavy on your head.
to get it to work. Yeah.
So they're trying to improve it to a point where people care. But the other major challenge that they have is the idea that when it comes to the point where they actually get it appropriate for market, then they also have to somehow sell that to people through mediums that aren't VR. Like, the idea of, like, trying to sell a 3D TV on a TV that's not 3D, trying to sell a VR headset through commercials or like people on the cover of Time magazine who are just floating in space with a C behind them.
Still referencing that, are we?
I can't help it. It's like, it's really, really fucking hard to sell this product on stage demonstrations or commercials.
Right.
If people haven't put the damn thing
We
on.
talked about
near
this before.
impossible.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that.
But this is part of what they talk about in this article, again, is why there's that collective effort, because they're all like, how the hell do we convince people that this is cooler than it looks? Because
than what people know already.
And I'll attest to that. Even though I'm not a fanboy of VR, I think it's cooler than it looks. Like, you put it on, you're like, this is much cooler than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And that's always been my reaction to VR also. Is like, I agree a lot with Nikk with that. It's cumbersome, and I still don't think they've solved the people don't want to strap shit to their face for more than 10 minutes problem with VR. And until they solve that, I personally don't think VR will take off. But every time I've tried VR, every time I put on a headset, even if it's a gimmicky demo, I've always at least enjoyed what I've done. But I've never worn one of those things for more than an hour, and that's purely because it just gets uncomfortable and sweaty.
Yeah,
and I don't like that.
Nobody does.
Yeah,
nobody does.
I think
it's a bunch of nerd grime on the lenses and stuff.
Yeah.
Nerd grime.
I think it's funny because I feel like the best way they're actually going to be able to market VR is to go through the Google Cardboard thing where you can just put your phone on it, and that's going to be the best way to get it out to people. But it's also the worst way because you're putting this phone on that doesn't have any processing power, and we're already having trouble like running like 1080p like pictures in each eye with a normal computer, and they're expecting to get the same experience out of a phone. I feel like that's going to turn everybody off from it. They're gonna put on this cardboard thing, put this phone on. This is going to be their first experience for VR, and it's going to be laggy, and they're not going to be able to do anything because they don't actually have a controller. They're just going to be able to look around a room, probably.
Yeah, it's going to be like a VR
it's gonna be
Flappy
Google Maps
Bird
with VR.
I was like,
VR Flappy Bird.
I was like, where do you go from there? Okay, everybody tried VR. It's silly. I can't do anything. I just put my phone on my face.
Right. Well, so do you feel like that speaks at all to like kind of the influx that we're seeing right now with like stuff like Ubisoft's The Climb and stuff like that? People are trying to actually get the experiences out there more as almost like marketing devices where like, look, see what's capable. You know what I mean? Like where you see like you have the Oculus on, you have the two like the touch controllers, and you can sit there and climb up this rock, and if you fall, you fucking die. That kind of thing. But if not, then like they're just trying to like test stuff, like very simple things. Like at some point there's going to be a pirate ship, and you can climb up the fucking mast and rigging and do the thing. But
yeah, one of the things this actually reminds me of is what Jason Rubin had to say, one of the co-founders of Naughty Dog. The idea that we're in like another renaissance, because if you actually go all the way back to when they were making Pong and people said that was not going to work and nobody was going to know what the fuck to do with this thing, it was this weird experimental phase, in the 80s when they transitioned ColecoVision and Nintendo and all that, and people were really unsure about how that would be received. It's the same. It's a little different because there was no gaming prior to this. But it's similar in the respect that people needed to experiment, and we didn't really realize the power of it until it went to market and people did receive it well. What if VR like goes fucking insane and everybody just eats it up?
But again, isn't this the same argument that Nintendo was making all those years ago when they did Virtual Boy?
Yeah, but it was
about Virtual Boy. But I agree with you. To a certain extent, it does feel like a renaissance because I feel like the media is behind it now to a certain extent, and there's enough hype about it. Like we've all had the opportunity to check it out at expositions or on a private level and be like,
it's a
yes or no.
It's hard to gauge the actual public's opinion of it because we're honestly maybe too close to it, even though like we have like one VR headset between all of us here right now, and I talked to my friends about it when I was playing Elite Dangerous, and they seem very jealous of the fact that I have VR. They're like, oh, I wish I had VR so I could play this game and have a lot of fun too. And it's like, maybe that's more the opinion of the public or people that aren't as close or as involved in the industry.
Or aren't developers. Because when we see it, we think about what we would do with it or what we would create with it. And
maybe.
when we're like, I can't think of anything that's not a table picking up.
There might be enough excitement out there. It's just we maybe even analyzed it too much. And like I said, I have fun when I use it. It's just it doesn't seem practical enough yet. But I don't know.
Okay. Samir.
No, I got nothing outside of they need to solve the problem with strapping.
I was going to ask you like how much like you guys are porting Destiny to VR, but you probably can't talk about it, right?
Samir, if there was like an eyeball implant surgery that just no longer required you to strap something to your face, would you be like, sign me up?
How much does it cost?
Let's say free 99 when it releases. But
free 99.
But there's an incredible recovery. It's like 3 months of recovery where you're blind until it.
Oh no, I won't do that.
I just got the Futurama episode where they're getting iPhones and they're just like shoving electronic into their eye. It's like.
No, I
you
mean,
mean this is a phone too?
Well, when it comes to VR, there's still just a lot of challenges with accessibility and making it not scary to consumers. I think is a big thing about it because it's really difficult to show it off on stage or even on TV. Even having like one of us talk to our friends and be like, oh, it's so badass. Like we even failed to describe just what VR really is.
Yeah.
Until you play Butts the Experience.
Butts the Experience
comes up every time.
I just say everything
still sets the bar.
I just say everything looks bigger. Like when you're in a VR headset, everything I feel like looks bigger. The world looks bigger. The blocks have.
Would you say it's comparable to the whole like putting on the 3D glasses when you go to see like a 3D movie?
No,
like,
I fucking hate 3D movies.
God, 3D movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the worst.
3D movies are the worst.
I have to ask my friends nowadays, can we please go see 2D? And I hate that. I hate that I have to ask.
What?
Yeah.
What? Oh.
Yeah, Chris.
Everybody else it's on like the 3D train. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Morris always makes us go
train.
to the 3D movies, and
Other than making fun of Chris Morris, to specifically address your point, Joe, the problem with the idea of 3D making everything feel bigger is that 3D is not to scale respective to you. So from a relative standpoint, of like where I'm sitting, it's whatever they're showing me in the frame, right? And VR is like I look up and I see a fucking dinosaur that is the size of a dinosaur respective to me, and it's fucking crazy because it's like that is a big ass dinosaur.
I just tried it out on Arc the Arc.
Oh, with the Oculus.
Yeah, I just tried that out, and I was standing under a T-Rex, like right under its butthole or something. It's like this is a gigantic dinosaur.
That is a big butthole.
Like, you got some big boops, bro. You take some big poops, right?
Yeah.
How do you wipe your ass with those little arms? I don't know.
You definitely do not. You do not. You scoot.
Yeah,
You scoot.
You scoot.
Right.
Scoot like a dog with worms.
A T-Rex scooted across the crowd like a ball.
All right. We're going to move on.
We should.
Perfect way to segue to this next one.
Since it's the holiday season and everybody is in hopefully the giving mood, we should also give kudos, I guess, to Microsoft, who has announced via Twitter, oddly enough, Phil Spencer took to Twitter to talk to one of his, not necessarily a naysayer, but a commenter or somebody who reached out to him and saying that Azure, the cloud service that Microsoft has developed and is utilizing not only for their Windows platform, but they're specifically for Xbox, that they're going to open it up to everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean every other platform out there that wants to save game data or use it as the dev platform, or whether you're a Nintendo or PlayStation or some PC developer that is never going to come to console. Windows Azure is there for you.
Do we need to quickly, in case people don't know,
what is the cloud?
We should explain what Azure is.
No, let's not explain the cloud. Nobody's ever going to be able to explain the cloud.
I'm not sure I know what the cloud is. I was hoping you were going to tell me what the cloud is.
We've had this conversation.
Who here can explain what Azure
I'm kidding.
is? or Azure?
Azure?
It's
Not it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Go ahead, fellas.
It's
or Joe?
a cloud service for developers that allows you to scale your product. Let's give us like a simple example of a dedicated server model for an online game that you're making. If you're a small indie developer, you're not going to go buy a bunch of servers and put them in the closet in your house. You're not going to host the games through some other company that has a bunch of them because they probably don't have many, and that means that the real estate's going to be really expensive to buy like a few servers to host their games.
Right.
And how do you scale with that? What happens when suddenly overnight your game becomes a big success? And
I'm thinking about Rocket League right now.
Yeah, and
Perfect
suddenly you go from 10,000 players to 1 million players overnight, and then everything crashes, and then everyone says your game's unstable, and then no one wants to play it anymore. How would you recover from something like that? Well, you need a scalable service that can, accustomed to that type of growth.
Right.
And that's what this is. That's what Amazon has with their servers as well. And essentially, so that's why they want to let everybody have it. Essentially,
right. Which is kind of a cool
developers,
thing.
big and small, can now grow, can make an online game and not worry that the day that they become popular, they also become the worst game because nobody can play it anymore because it's crashing.
Look, having a dedicated server farm for everybody's whatever game or otherwise is still a good thing. Yeah.
I think this is a big reminder that Microsoft is a lot more than a gaming company. This is more of a we design systems and software for everybody to use and the entire world to use. And at
least in the context of this show, when we talk about Microsoft specifically as
we usually talk about Xbox or PC games.
That's
or
a very
something.
valid point. Yeah.
But Microsoft makes so much other stuff, and this is here for them to remind us that they're better than everybody. That they can they can throw their other departments around to show that, hey, you know what? Sony, I can see you're having a little bit of trouble with your cloud storage. Do you want to use ours? Because I don't know.
Well, that's funny you said. Go ahead, finish your thought because I have some facts for you. But go ahead.
It just feels, I don't know. It's a good thing and it's cool, and it's just like I said. It's a reminder that no matter what happens to the Xbox, Microsoft is still going to be able to support it. Even if the Xbox tanks, they can still throw all this money in from all these other departments and keep their video game industry alive.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right about them being generous in their way, and yes, that they're not just a gaming company. You're very right about that. At the same time, I think Sony and Amazon, of all people, strangely enough, have been kind of their biggest contenders about cloud storage. And in the sense, I think Sony ended up buying, I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head right now, but a couple years ago, they got in on this very quickly in the whole cloud storage thing. Yeah. So it makes sense to me that if PlayStation developers don't necessarily jump on board with a Microsoft, the Azure as we're calling it. Yeah. But when you talk about other developers for whether it be Nintendo or even on an indie level, PC or otherwise, I think I don't know. This offers kind of it's a nice open door invitation to come and hang out with us, and necessarily it's an alternative to say the Amazon AWS servers, which is probably their biggest contender.
I don't think it's not a bad thing.
Well, I mean, it's just more technology for more developers to use and become exposed to. I mean, sure, there might be some financial reason behind doing this. I'm sure there always is.
Well, it's not free, as far as I understand.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have to pay.
But it's accessible. It's now accessible, which is great because if this tech proves to be something that a lot of devs use and generally like with whatever feedback and complaints they have, more people will start doing it. You might end up seeing people create companies just to create services like this, and that's solely what they do. So I mean, it's a good move forward overall for the entire industry because if it succeeds, great. We'll start to see more competition and better tech getting pushed. If it fails, we know, okay, that's something we probably just don't want to pursue anymore.
What I think is interesting about this is that it comes in light of our first topic, where people are kind of sharing information and sharing technology to come increase the benefit of a newer platform. The cloud has been around for a little bit, but I think it's still very new to a lot of users, right? Unless you're kind of savvy and have your hands in deep and those fingers in those pies, maybe it's not necessarily something you're using every day. But with this kind of access, not just to devs but to even the common user, does it make it more of a gesture of good faith in the same way that sharing information about VR is? Is it the same kind of like? Do we treat it the same way for in Microsoft's behalf on that in that regard?
I think it's more indicative of like a money making venture. It's not a bad one. Like it's one that supports the community, which is probably the best one that you could come up with, right? Something that
or at
puts
least
money,
hope for, yeah.
Yeah, something that puts money in your pocket, and then everyone's also happy with it. That's a pretty good turnout, right? This reminds me of Valve with Steam, something like that. We offer a service to the community. We end up monopolizing on said service, but still, it's something that people appreciate and need. It helped indie developers kind of come out of the woodworks and show up in a medium that people could access their games easily, all those kind of things, and they made a shit ton of money off of it. This is that kind of a scenario. This thing where I can be a developer and say, I'm making a game, I want it to be online, okay, I'm going to get this service. I don't even need to have to know how it fucking works. All I need to know is how to interface with it. And once I do, if I could become an overnight success, I suddenly am only charged for the amount of bandwidth that I use. Holy crap, I don't have to think about it. If you imagine what they had to do hardware-wise in their house to make that shit work, they'd have to have like multiple people dedicated to keeping an eye on every single ounce of traffic, so they're not wasting money buying too many servers, not enough servers, wasting too much power, purchasing this.
1 foot on each side of that line.
Oh my god! Yeah. So now they're just like, fuck it, yay Microsoft, like, and I'll give you my money because everything's
you
easier.
clearly have enough of it anyways to support this entire fucking endeavor in the first place.
So I think it's a good thing. And it's also, good for Microsoft. So I'm sure that they're going to be very happy when everybody, including Sony developers, uses their service.
The assumption is always like if Microsoft does something, it's probably good for Microsoft, right? Or companies of that size. Insert
it
company
has to be
name here.
When you're at that scale.
Exactly. But it's also like, I don't want to call it like falsely altruistic, but it might come across that way to a certain extent. But at the same time, like they could just gate it.
It's definitely not altruism because they can put whatever the fuck price point they want.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is that they could have gated it, but they're not. You know what I mean?
They're not. They have Amazon to compete with, so it's not a monopoly, and Amazon is much farther along than they are in this type of service. So.
AWS seems to be like the more accessible version of this cloud service, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So they still have to provide a product to the market that's not raping you in the butt.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, right. That was the professional way of stating that.
So I'm sure anybody out there that hasn't done it already, imagine that you open up your laptop and they're like, there's that beautiful notification letting you know that Windows 10 is available.
Would you like to update?
Right. As opposed to Amazon, who doesn't do anything of the sort, and you have to just kind of seek their services out. But you heard it from Mr. Arroyo first.
Don't say that. This episode's called "Raped in the Butt."
Yeah. I don't think
That's a holiday theme.
No, it's not.
That will not pass the filters.
No, it's not.
Well, what filters are you looking at?
Our community manager. He'll be like, "Oh, hell no."
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he says.
That's why he does what he does, is to keep us under control.
Okay.
All right. Topic number 3, before we move on to the lightning round, very quickly, we're going to talk about ColecoVision, guys. Are any of us old enough to have owned? I barely am old enough to have owned a ColecoVision.
I know what they were.
Right, you're aware of the existence and what they were, right? As a console or a cartridge-based console system. Mm-hmm. Before consoles were a term of,
I was going to say, didn't the Chameleon already come out or something? Wasn't that already a console? The Caleco Chameleon.
No. Yes, it does say the Caleco Chameleon. Yeah. Try not to ruin it for everybody else.
No, that's the Chameleon's the new version.
Right. Yeah. So
it's not something that's out yet.
I'm just going to jump to it. There's a holding company that I was trying to generate a very organic conversation and it failed miserably.
Yeah, well, you learned your lesson.
Yeah, seriously. There's a holding company. It's not the original Caleco people. Or Nintendo for that matter, but there's a holding company that has rights to the Caleco name, and they've announced via a press release saying that they are going to develop a new cartridge-based console that will play all of your old 8-bit, 16-bit, and 30-bit, 32-bit console games.
That's not a power.
That's not a fucking power chip. 32-bit cartridge-based games. At the same time, they're also announcing that they have people on board that are going to be willing to generate new cartridge-based games for these formats. So expect some kind of like retro new titles. Kind of like was Volcar the Viking is a good one from like the Xbox One.
Yeah. Axiom Verge is another good one.
Axiom Verge is a very good one.
There's always a bunch of like old retro games coming out.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
Undertale.
if you Undertale is a great example of that. But what's interesting about it is that A, it's not Caleco. B, it's a holding company that is probably trying to capitalize on all the nostalgia,
all the buzzwords.
But at the same time, like nobody's buying a console anymore to even really take discs. It's almost discs are almost an afterthought, right? Mm-hmm. Like we buy hard copies for games and they come in disc form, but a lot of the time we're spending money on a marketplace to buy a digital
license.
Right? So, and obviously Steam has been doing that for
forever,
right?
Yeah.
What's the attraction for a cartridge-based system? Is it strictly nostalgia, or
I would like to step in and say that based on the facial reactions of everybody sitting here while you describe this topic, there is no goddamn attraction. I have no idea. I mean, unless we are the few.
But let's talk about some of the games that we played on cartridges first.
But wait, let's be real first and say that are we or are we not the demographic that they're pandering to? Because we definitely fucking are.
We were old enough to remember cartridge-based systems and spent a lot of money on them.
We are the generation they're trying to get back into this. There's no way it's the newest generation. So, and none of us seemed even remotely interested in this
we
idea.
didn't. But there probably exists a very like niche demographic that wants this very much. That is sitting around with a bunch of like living in grandma's basement, and I have a bunch of boxes that have all my cartridges in them, and all my systems are burned out. But and now I use them to play them on.
There's already I forget the name of the manufacturer that like creates an all-in-one that has all those cartridge-based systems on it.
There's a couple of them.
Yeah.
Retro Freak, Gamer, like there's a couple.
And those I feel like are already tapping into that really, really small specific niche.
But when you get one with the brand of Caleco that like apply like
but
has
it's not Caleco anyway.
Yeah.
You keep
it's a holding company, and that does change the narrative here a little bit. But I think very much so, like having that kind of that stamp on the box might change it for a few people.
You keep mentioning Caleco, and then you preface this entire thing with none of you guys may have ever heard of it before. Like that's how I guess I feel like you keep saying Caleco, and that has no bearing on anything I've said. Like my cartridge game consoles was like the Sega Genesis, and then my 3DS. Like those were the consoles that I owned that took cartridges.
For me, it went back to Atari. And I had a friend who had a ColecoVision, so I guess that was like the tail end of the ColecoVision was our generation.
It was a short-lived thing. It was not very prolific by any stretch of the imagination.
I think that we have to take the idea of ColecoVision being a name off the table for two reasons. One, because it's not as big of a name as Nikk points out, and then two, because it's a big name, but I mean like not to people today.
It's not that big of a name, dude. Yeah, no,
and
right on.
The second reason is because it's a fucking holding company that has nothing to do with Caleco other than the fact that they bought it. So we need to just ignore that and just say there's some company that wants to make a cartridge-based console that is going to be absolutely not in my home because there's no fucking way I could convince my wife to allow me to have a console that also has a bunch of crap like all these that I have to store somewhere.
Of plastic.
Yeah, when I clearly could just have a console where I just purchase things just digitally.
So here's where I disagree with you.
It's fucking weird.
I think you're right about 100% of what you just said, but 98. But the other 2% is the fact that there's a console that has cartridges of games that where my wife, who is not like a gamer now, but we played games together, and she is witness to the games that I play. But if I brought back a console that could play like an old cartridge of Mario 64, or something like Axiom Verge, or something like that, or like Metroid or whatever, then she would be like, well, this might be fun for her own little nostalgia trip for a hot minute.
How is the physical cartridge more nostalgic than playing the game itself? The game is the experience we had.
Because as far as she's concerned, nobody's downloading. But I'm not going to download a game. I'm going to go buy a game.
If you have a PC, you can emulate any of the old games.
You have that with
right now. That's the thing.
You guys are not wrong. I'm just saying, like, understand the perspective not from guys like us, but from somebody who hasn't necessarily played a bunch of games or understand where the landscape is for buying games
because she has no nostalgia about it. You're trying to introduce her to old games. No, but the nostalgia
is revolved around owning either a disc or a cartridge.
Nostalgia is about my memories about it.
I think Joe's more going on about accessibility, like, and I can kind of get that where if it's if it's just something you plop a cartridge and turn it on and it's good to go.
Yeah.
It's far less intimidating, even though like to us it seems really stupid and simple. Like turn on your PS4 and then navigate to the tile and hit play, and it's also
Like
good
I
to
don't
go.
even have to turn on. I hit the button on my controller
Yep.
and it turns on.
Yeah,
good.
you know, and like so that it might seem more accessible to people that, you know, aren't too hardcore into modern day gaming, but I mean, for me, the big problem with this is less about like the name and the console itself and the fact of what they're trying to deliver, which is like, hey, throwbacks to your favorite 8, 16, and 32-bit variety of games. And like whenever I see that, there's always like this developer red flag that goes off in my head. First off, most people don't know what the hell 8, 16, and 32-bit actually means when it's referring to the games. And secondly, it's that there's a lot of people already making fucking awesome games that are like that are super accessible on my PC and my PS4 and my Xbox One.
Like Axiom Verge.
Yeah, Axiom Verge. There's Nuclear Throne. There's just shit tons of them, and you know they have a little bit of modern flair on them to, you know, make them
Towerfall and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Sure.
you know they have like
Cloud
particle
storage,
systems and
cloud saving.
they have cloud saving and they have,
Azure.
Thanks, Microsoft. Yeah.
it's all come full circle. Soon they'll be in VR.
Phil Spencer, the adventure. Yeah.
But you know, kind of going back to that point of like I don't see what the hell they're trying to tap into here that isn't already being tapped into really well. Like what is that unique thing that's going to make me or Joe or Nick here go want to run out and go grab one of these
I think
things?
maybe that one thing is that I do think I have a box back home at my dad's that still has some Sega Genesis cartridges in it. Like I got like
Do you have
Sonic.
a system that works though?
I don't know if it's a system that works.
Okay.
I have the cartridges. I got like the Aladdin Sega Genesis game, which was great, and then
Was awesome.
all
That
the
game
Sonic
was great.
games, and Road Rash, the
Fuck,
first
dude,
one.
I played so much Road Rash.
Road Rash
Oh
was so
my
good.
God.
I feel like we've gone like every 3 episodes we bring up Road Rash.
Maybe
Pretty
we
awesome.
do. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's some part of me that'd be like, you know, it'd be really cool if I could just shove my cartridge into that machine real quick and then play it.
There already is a machine like that you can go
Can you
buy.
do that
Yeah.
hand gesture one more time? Just for us that are watching.
It's kind of like
this
a
sucks for
timeout,
you,
but it's
listener,
just
right
like,
now.
you
But, yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it, listener. The final point for me
Go ahead.
is what this reminds me of is, even though it is a throwback and the idea is the accessibility and stuff, it reminds me of somebody trying to go retro with the idea of all this fucking amiibo shit and these things. It's just things I have to collect.
What's retro about an amiibo?
No, trying to go retro with this
chunk of plastic.
You didn't let me finish my thought, but that's fine.
That's
yeah.
fine. Go ahead.
The idea right now, they're trying to make it cool again to go out and buy a physical piece of something that you have to put on a stand to play a game, right? And that's what a cartridge essentially is. It's just not, you know, it's not a character that you put on a pedestal. It's a cartridge that you plug into a physical port, and then you go and you play your game. And to me, this is really similar to that because they're trying to capitalize on the idea of collectability, because people hang on to these
tactile
cartridges.
essence of
Yeah,
it, yeah.
and then what? Unless you have enough glass cases in your house to like show off all these characters that you bought and these cartridges that you own. If you're not a collector, I feel like this is the niche for this market is the collector.
I feel like
If you're not a collector, you're not gonna fucking
You're not
buy this.
interested.
There's
Okay.
no way. There's no way.
at least in my experience, though, like a lot of video game people are collectors. They
Yes,
like to
that's
collect
probably
things.
true,
So
yeah.
like it may work out.
I think the older you get, the more often they are collectors. Maybe less so. Like I used to be a collector, and I had a very large collection, but then I got married.
Oh yeah,
And-
remind me to return your comic books.
I'm just like
Fair
you know, like I used
Also,
to be a
Tomb
collector when I
Raider.
was younger.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Go ahead. Well,
Like,
sorry.
I used to be a collector when I was younger, but like as I'm getting older, I'm actually finding the opposite. Where
Right.
I don't want to collect a bunch of
Yes,
shit.
I get
It's so much nicer
the,
not to have
the
things.
digitalization of everything has made
It doesn't even
being
have to-
collector kind of a moot point.
It doesn't
You know
even
what
have to do with like the digitalization thing. It's just more of like I just don't want a bunch of crap in my house.
I mean? Okay.
You know, like it's cool to like have a physical copy of a thing and be like, I played that one time.
So good luck, Caleco Chameleon.
Hopefully, you'll appeal to people who want a bunch of crap in their
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a handful of people that buy it. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to not playing my cartridges that I don't own anymore. How about that? All right. Lightning round. Yeah? Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Some of you may know how this works. Others may not. We're going to take a few quick topics and give people a minute to chime in, uninterrupted for the most part. And we will award points based on nothing in particular. Think, you know, that show with Drew. Yeah, the show with Drew Carey. It's fine.
That's Price is Right now, in case you're wondering.
That's true too, actually. All right, topic number one: Siberian man from Siberia, northern Russia. or a Russian.
Siberian man from Siberia.
He's Siberian, guys. He lost his job
Where is he from?
and his wife.
Siberian wife?
To his Fallout 4 addiction. Siberian man lost his wife and his job to his Fallout 4 addiction. He's decided that Bethesda owes him $7,000 or 500,000 rubles.
Rupees.
Rubles.
No, that's rubles.
Oh, rubles.
Wrong country.
Rupees are
Wrong.
Hyrule. Anyway,
It's India.
It is India.
and Hyrule. Though.
Yes, it is. But
I like that he went for the video game reference over the physical country. That this is we're so off the rails. It's
Not to overstate the obvious, but our guest Samir Patel is Indian. Okay.
So it was even more offensive of our host to reference rupees.
And I'm sitting right next to him, just staring at him.
Yeah. I can feel it. It's melting my fucking face right now. All right, so this guy lost his wife and his job. He sued Bethesda for $7,000, or the equivalent of 500,000 rubles, and is suing to get it. Perhaps the real tragic part about this is that the law firm representing this man in Russia is using this as a test case to see how far they can take a trial like this. Mr. Patel, you have a minute
All right.
to talk about
Rupees.
whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. With that prompt. All right.
Or anything based on this topic. Go ahead.
So when it comes to like addiction and stuff like this, I think it's irresponsible to sue the company. In this case, Bethesda, for that kind of money, simply because I feel like it should be up to you to regulate your own game time. But I more want to speak about the lawyer using this as a test case. So that's not too unusual, like for lawyers to create cases that are precedences that are then used as, you know, another way to create a bunch of other lawsuits that they can just simply cite a case and they don't even have to go to court over it. It's super common practice in the United States. I don't know how Russian law works.
Siberian.
Yeah, sorry, Siberian
Russian law work you.
I mean, like, it doesn't sound out of the ordinary. It just sounds like another one of those, like, stupid cases that comes up every now and then. It's like, I spilled coffee on me, give me money. And there's like, I played too much Fallout, give me money. It's whatever. Hopefully it falls through in court and the guy does good things with his life and fixes his problems.
Yay.
Is it more so about following through in court or following through for himself so that he can get his wife and job back?
They're making motions at me.
Yeah. Mr. Golesh, you have 1 minute.
You didn't award him any points.
How many rupees?
You're right. How many rupees?
Yeah, is it the big red one that's worth, what, 500?
Give him half a heart.
You get 5 big red ones.
Okay, 5 big red ones.
That's
How
all
many
I'm saying.
does it-
I'm
how
not
many-
saying if they're rupees. You get 5 big red ones.
Big red ones.
How many rupees does it take to buy a heart
Oh, God.
in Hyrule?
I don't remember.
Not India.
Captain
Shut up.
Planet. Yeah, the Indian kid had to be hard. I see how it is.
Nikk, you got a minute.
All right. I guess the only thing I really...
He got 5. He got 5
The thing-
rupees. What do you want? What do you want, Joe? Jesus.
The thing I thought about with this article was, it's like, how long has Fallout 4 been out? Like a month and a half, maybe?
Sure.
So this guy's marriage ended after a month of playing the game, and he lost his job over a month of playing the game. So he screwed up 2 things, both of which probably were screwed up before Fallout 4 came out.
Oh, man, damn it.
So
Stole my...
I don't know, like, do I give a shit that he wants $7,000? Like, I don't know. Or what was it? 500 rubles?
Oh, my God.
Rubles.
500,000.
500,000 rubles.
Right.
Okay.
Which equates to about $7,000.
All right. It would make more sense that our money's worth more, but
Oh, that's so not true.
I think you got it wrong in that front, but I appreciate everything you had to say up until that point.
so I don't know. Just I don't feel bad for this guy. I heard the game's not even good unless you try to save your family.
I'm gonna award you 1,000 rupees
A visit to a gulag.
and a visit to a gulag. That's yes, I agree.
When can I unlock the grappling hook?
Oh, God.
Second dungeon. Mr. Arroyo.
This is tough because I wasn't expecting everybody to be on the exact same page as me, and that's kind of what's playing out. I think Joe's having the same kind of feeling. He doesn't want to go now. I guess I have one question for this guy. Is $7,000 going to get you your wife back?
Maybe.
Or your job?
I think that's to pay for the year of Xbox Live you'll need.
Yeah. That's it. Because you could argue you could sue anybody for this much money for fucking anything. I stubbed my toe. I would like $7,000. That's how small of an amount this is in the terms of a court case. I think $7,000 is the kind of money that you would throw out expecting a company to just be like, settle, not going to fucking deal with you. But that's not going to happen. And he's going to get stomped all over because this is a fucking stupid idea in the first place. And like Nick said, if it took you a month to ruin a marriage and a job, then it was already broken. You can give me some of his because it was his idea, his point that
I want you to take.
You can't have any of mine.
I want you to take this because it's scary
It's
to go alone.
Socialism.
It's scary to go alone, dude.
Thanks.
Okay.
Take this.
1,000 rupees. It's Mr. Arroyo.
Okay. George can go.
All right, real quick. This guy's an asshole because the most important point that was made, Nick made it already. If shit was broken, it's broken already. Here's the problem with this entire situation: is that if there is some asshole law firm that is in Russia that is trying to maximize on this situation, if you are trying to figure out why games are addictive or how you have potential clients based on the fact that they play a bunch of fucking video games, then you are doing nothing different than chasing an ambulance, where all you're like some asshole with poor judgment got themselves into fucking a bad situation, and now you're just trying to manipulate the law. It doesn't matter what country you're in. It doesn't matter what fucking law system exists. This is straight up fucking exploitation. It's in not a good way, and straight up, fucking shameful. So I appreciate that lawyers want to make money and you have a job to do and you're trying to manipulate the system because that's what you are supposed to do, but get the fuck over it.
So elegant.
You get to award him points.
I'll get to award him points. Shit, I didn't listen to anything he said.
It's okay. You didn't
Most people don't either.
Yeah, we've been giving everybody rupees.
You can give him whatever you want.
You can get,
I can give you whatever you.
Yeah.
I'll give you 500,000 rubles.
What
you asked for.
$7,000.
You get your $7,000, buddy.
Oh,
is it you?
Oh shit! It was Joe all along.
I am free of wife. I am free of job. I
even
play
the right
Fallout
accent?
4.
I am free
all
of. I am
the
free
time.
of proper accents.
I know nothing. I am Jon Snow. All right. For the second of the lightning round topics before we call it an evening before the holiday break, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Mel Brooks made Spaceballs. Remember that? I remember that.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
In that movie, he makes a fairly meta reference to a planned sequel called Spaceballs that starts for more money. Mel Brooks went on Adam Carolla's podcast called Take a Knee recently and seemed to think that the timing was fairly appropriate, pretty right, to actually make said sequel. Do we actually want this?
Yes.
Samir, I'm going to give you the last minute, so you're going to have to hang tight for a second.
God.
Mr. Arroyo, you're going to have to wait for me to take the first minute.
Okay, go.
I love everything about Mel Brooks movies. I love Blazing Saddles. I love, Frankenstein. I love all of it. All of it. I love Spaceballs.
A sense of butt.
The problem with having
It's
Spaceballs come out again is the same problem with having Star Wars come out again. And that is,
Spoilers.
you will never, ever meet expectations the way you're supposed to. Half the cast is dead. John Candy's gone. Joan Rivers is gone. Like, all the people, the person who played the C-3PO, like I'm just saying, Barf is out. Like, he's gone. Like, you can't, like, you can get certain people, like Bill Pullman, sure, get him back in there. Daphne Zuniga, get her back in there as Vespa. That's fine, but you're missing a bunch of the large pieces of the puzzle. I think it's fun to spoof stuff, but maybe leave this one alone. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Samir, his points.
I thought I got the last minute.
How many
Yeah,
points?
you have to award me points though.
I give him points.
How well did he do?
Since he didn't just flat out say yes, 0.
Okay.
So yeah, sorry,
Sorry,
Joe.
dude.
Sorry, Joe. I mean,
Damn.
you had really valid adult points, but I am not.
But you didn't give him what he wanted.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I'm a consumer of movies. So
Samir Patel. The quest
Sorry,
for more money.
All right, who's next? Who's next?
Let's do Joe.
It's Nikk. I guess.
Oh, Nikk. Okay, fine.
Let's see. Would we want another Spaceballs movie? Yeah, I think people would want that. You make good points. Like, would it actually work out nowadays? I'm not sure. Like, if you think of like the movies that are closest to Spaceballs when they came out, that were spoofs of other movies, the only that I can draw any kind of reference to is like Not Another Teen Movie or like Vampires. I don't know, like the ones that are making fun of the Twilight movies
Scary
or
movies.
Scary movies.
Yeah. Like those are the kind of movies that like actually came out of what Mel Brooks did by spoofing other movies. And to think that we might get one of those in replacement to what like Mel Brooks could possibly bring out is kind of a scary thought by itself. But I can't remember what the last Mel Brooks movie was that came out. I think like the earliest one I can think of is maybe Spaceballs, and Blazing Saddles was before that. I haven't been keeping up or anything, but I don't know. Like, yes, no, maybe. I don't like that. The whole
Good. He covered the whole gamut for everybody. In case you're,
The force is strong with Nikk Golesh. The Schwartz is strong with Nikk Golesh.
how many Schwartz does Nick get for that?
I don't. It was hard because the entire
Schwartz
time I
a
had
currency?
the Blazing Saddles song going through my head. Like, he wore a blazing saddle, he wore a shiny.
Why didn't you just sing that for your?
I don't know. Like,
The sheriff is a. No, anyway.
Oh god.
nobody move or this guy gets.
Okay, now we're just quoting Blazing Saddles.
Well, I could quote
Proof
it
that
because
we need another Mel Brooks movie.
Right.
all of our casual racism. We need. I'm going to give you 1,000 rubles as well.
Boring.
What's boring?
Just giving the same amount.
You assume there's
You
going
just
to be a
phone.
winner.
Dude, I didn't know you'd phone it in so easily in the lightning
I'm
round.
not phoning anything in. I'm Pony Expressing it in. We're
I
talking about
reward
Blazing
myself
Saddles.
one Gene Wilder.
See that?
That was
better.
good. That was fun. I appreciate that.
That was inventive.
This is my shooting hand.
Okay.
I love to keep my audiences riveted. Mr. Arroyo, you have 1 minute.
Okay. Are we going to talk about Blazing Saddles, or are we going to talk about Spaceballs?
I want you to talk
It's
about
your
whatever
minute.
the fuck you want.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about Spaceballs because that's what this is about.
So please
Actually,
do.
I don't, because I'd like to actually tell you the sequel I'm most anticipating from Mel Brooks that never happened. History of the World Part 2. God damn it. It's alluded to in the first movie. It featured Hitler on ice, which I was super excited for, and then it was all a ruse. Obviously, we knew it was a ruse, but still, part of the joke is that maybe someday they'd fucking do it. And this is funny because in Spaceballs, they allude to a sequel called, Spaceballs Search for More Money. And it's supposed to be a joke because it's never going to happen. Just like History of the World Part 2 is never going to happen. Now that it's happening, it's kind of like, it's either I'm disappointed in Mel Brooks for not just letting the joke be the joke, or I'm excited that History of the World Part 2 must actually be happening as well. And in which case, I'm more excited for that than Spaceballs 2. So let me know when that comes out, and I will meet you at Hitler on Ice. I'll get tickets.
Joe, you just went from suck to blow.
That's 2 cans of Perrier for you.
Yeah. President Scrooge awards you
One eunuch.
a crew full of assholes. How's that?
God.
All right.
Oh, we did that quote before, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was great.
Absolutely. It was
All right,
great.
all right.
You're right.
Give me my minute.
It's my turn first, and then you get the last.
You started,
already
buddy.
went. Do you want to go again?
Fuck.
Old man Joe.
Can't remember 5 minutes ago.
Remember my day? I had to walk 5 miles uphill to get my lightning round minute. Anyway.
Joe's going to enjoy the rest of his Elysian that's clearly impairing him. And
His third
My Bifrost
Elysian.
is more like whoa frost.
Samir?
All right. I was gonna start my minute with I'm surrounded by a bunch of assholes, but you guys just ruined that by referencing it already. I'm actually really excited for it because I really enjoyed Spaceballs. It was one of my favorite movies of all time up until I saw Hot Fuzz, which was also an amazing movie. But I thought it was fucking awesome, and I'm not going to be super jaded about it because I like Mel Brooks as a director and the work he's done. And yeah, you have some good points. Some of the actors are no longer with us, and they'll be kind of making that meta joke no longer a joke if they do make this second movie. But I personally think it'll be fucking fantastic. I mean, Star Wars Episode 7 didn't have every last thing from Episode 4 in it. There was things that were different. some things that were
Spoilers.
changed. Yeah.
No spoilers.
So I mean, like, why would Spaceballs 2 be held up to any other standard? So I'm just saying, fuck all y'all. I'm gonna go watch Spaceballs 2, probably far more than I should. Mel Brooks, please make it.
I mean, I don't know why you told us.
Let's just give all the points to Samir.
I wanted to go see it with you.
And blah, blah,
We'll
blah,
see it together.
blah, blah.
Yeah. Like, at some point, I was like, dude, I would have seen the movie with you. You're like, fuck all y'all. I'm gonna go see.
I'll go with you, Joe. We'll get the special seating at the iPic
All right.
Theater.
Cool.
For context, can we agree that he only admitted to thinking about it? He hasn't admitted to the fact that he's actually making it. Mel Brooks is, I feel like he gave some fan service to the premium customers of Adam Carolla's podcast.
How does only Mel Brooks is the kind of guy who can get away with
Yes.
admitting to thinking about something.
Yes. Well, honestly, like, he's the guy that
Him and Peter Molyneux.
He made Young Frank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, it's true. Yes, absolutely. Peter Molyneux is the Mel Brooks of video games. There we go.
It would behoove him to not think about something.
I like maybe stop thinking so much. Yes,
I
that's
like
fine.
Peter Molyneux.
So do I. So do I. Everyone, there's room for improvement.
My dad's favorite
Everybody.
game is still Populous.
Is it
Just-
really?
yeah,
I
yeah.
loved Populous at the beginning.
Populous was amazing. I'm just saying, but Mr.
We all just
I don't
looked at
know.
Nick.
He like wants to talk.
Joe pointed at me. He's like, yeah.
You guys were this okay because you brought it up, but
What, Populous or
no, like
or
the
just
way you guys like related Mel Brooks and Molyneux. I guess I don't understand that one. I was gonna say I would relate Mel Brooks and Dave Chappelle in the sense that they try to bring up like tough topics where they
like race,
like
Jew
racism,
versus black or something like that.
and
Okay.
stuff. And it could be taken in the wrong way, and
They
like
accidentally perpetuated
they
it
accidentally
instead of-
perpetuate it. Like
Yeah.
if you've watched Blazing Saddles, it's the fucking like racist thing I've ever seen. Almost,
It's pretty
bad.
fucking
It's pretty
racist.
bad.
like it's
yeah.
not a movie that would be allowed to be released today or something. I feel like
It's so funny though.
it was.
It makes me a casual
Ingenious.
racist, maybe, but I don't know.
There was a
I
lot
love
of racism
Like
on
I'm not a
this
racist,
episode.
and I love black people. I love Jewish people. I love
Saying that
but I
makes
love
you
Blazing
sound more
Saddles.
racist.
I love Mel Brooks movies. What do you want me to say?
I appreciate rubles as a currency.
Right, and rupees, and gems as general form.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
No, you shouldn't be. It's a reasonable point to make.
Sorry
that
you brought it up this
All right,
We should end it.
yes, we should. Yes, we should. Thank you. Come again,
Samir, oh my God. We appreciate your heritage. We do. We really do.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Where's the Mexican joke? I'm
We're
waiting for
done
that
here.
one, too.
Adios. Right.
On delay.
Episode 77 is a wrap. We're gonna cut this before it gets any worse.
We wish it had ended sooner.
Thank you for being here, dear listener. Let us know what you think, please. I especially after this. I'm curious to know what you think. Hit us up.
This is where you lose your viewership.
Right. Well, it's a podcast. so
Listenership,
they just
sorry.
yeah, there you go.
No such thing as bad publicity.
That's right. Hit us up, cheatcodespodcast.com on Facebook and Twitter. Punch it in, look us up, get in on the conversation. We hope everyone here and out there has an awesome holiday, however you're celebrating in whatever capacity.
Whatever,
much love and much celebration, much happiness to all of you and your families and your friends. Stay tuned. We're gonna do end of the year episode next week, so stay tuned for that. And coming in the next year, I can't tell you how exciting shit's getting over here. We got a bunch of awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Lined up for you. We love you guys very much, Samir.
I love you too.
Always a pleasure.
May the Schwartz be with you.
May the Schwartz be with you.
And also with you.
We're good Catholics here. It's good.